NFL fans, welcome back to a brand new episode of the J All Day Show. In today's episode, I got a great one for you guys. I'm giving you my first power rankings of the 2024 NFL season. I needed a few weeks to play out before I can start ranking these teams and actually do these teams justice, right? There's some winless teams and some undefeated teams still, so let's see where your team kind of ranks in my tier list. 2 are going in the Super Bowl, 6 in every other category. We got in the hunt, need to get healthy, almost dead, trash, and then the worst tier, I need an adult. All right, let's rank these NFL teams as we go into week 4. All right, NFL fans, let's have some fun and laugh at the expense of these NFL teams who absolutely need an adult. There are 3 teams that are 0-3. One definitely better than the others, but the first team, the Titans, they need an adult probably more than any team in the NFL right now. Coach Callahan and Will Levis are at each other's throats, guys. It's not looking good there. Will Levis has been awful. Just straight up. Just straight trash. I don't have much else to say. DeAndre Hopkins is not involved in the offense at all whatsoever. The D-line is okay, but the secondary hasn't been too good. They just figure out ways to lose. That's where they're at. You know, another team that needs an adult, the Carolina Panthers. Is Andy Dalton the adult in the room? He sure looked like it last week, but I just can't see this team being any good and not selecting in the top 10 of the NFL draft next year, right? They still have a horrible defense. Adam Thielen is now hurt. That's one less veteran wide receiver that Andy Dalton has to throw to. He's got a pretty serious hamstring pull, so I don't know when he's going to come back. He's an older guy, so it might take a little bit longer for him to get healthy, right? Now, we're looking through the other teams that need an adult. You got to have the Jacksonville Jaguars on this list, guys. Wow, they've been bad. I've been saying it for weeks now. I think Doug Peterson has a first-class ticket to get fired. They're not going to fire Trevor Lawrence because they paid him a ridiculous amount of money, right? A buttload of money that I do not think he deserves. They brought in Gabe Davis, who has not been good. Evan Ingram's hurt. The offense isn't gelling. The secondary is not very good. I am not a big fan of this Jaguars team, and it looks like they're in line for a top 10 pick this year. Another team that definitely needs an adult, in my opinion, the New England Patriots, right? Jacoby Brissett is not that adult. He hasn't thrown over 200 yards at all this year. Drake May ended up coming at the end of the last game. They can't move the ball if they're not running the ball well. If any team can even slightly stop the run, the Patriots are going to lose. It looks like a top 5 pick for the Patriots, in my opinion, right? Okay, so where do we go with these last 2 spots? There are a bunch of different teams here. One of them, it's got to be the New York Football Giants, right? Daniel Jones is not very good. Malik Neighbors can't do everything. They're like leaning so heavily on this rookie, throwing him the ball like 15 times a game. They're going to like wear him out, man. It's like they need to like slow their roll by giving him the ball every single play, right? Man, I like their D-line a little bit. Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns are pretty good, but the rest of that secondary is complete trash. Their linebackers are just meh. I don't know, man. I think the Giants are going to finish like 5-6 wins at the most. Maybe if they're lucky, they win 6 games. All right, now we got one more team in the I need an adult section. And guys, for me, there's a couple teams. Broncos, Commanders, Bears are in there, Browns. Who is I need an adult? The Broncos got a big win. The Bengals have looked terrible, but that team is the Raiders. They quit in that game against the Panthers. Historically, one of the worst teams over the last decade. That team just packed it in the second half. It was an embarrassment. That team should be ashamed of themselves. Devontae Adams dropping passes. They just have no grit. They have no fire. They just gave up in that game. All right, the next tier list is trash. You got to go with the Bengals. 0-3. They might have the worst defense in the NFL. you could put them in almost dead, but they're just trash. 0-3. The schedule doesn't get much easier. I don't like the Bengals at all in this situation for them. The next, the Colts, man. The Colts have been terrible. Anthony Richardson is a turnover machine. They're the worst team in the NFL at stopping the run. DeForest Buckner's hurt. They're not going to be able to rush the passer. They're just hurt everywhere, right? They are not a good team. I thought they were going to be better this year, but that hasn't been the circumstances, right? Next up, in this trash section, where are we going to go? Where is the trash can going? I mean, you got to go with the Cleveland Browns. The Browns have been terrible. They got sacked 8 times last week by the Giants and lost to the Giants at home. This team is in complete disarray. They can't do anything on offense with that banged up offensive line. That wasn't very good to begin with. The defense, Myles Garrett's hurt. I mean, there's a slew of injuries everywhere. Whoo, baby. Another trash can team, the Denver Broncos. They had a big win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I don't think that luck continues for the Denver Broncos. They don't have a lot of depth anywhere, right? They don't run the ball particularly well. They don't pass the ball particularly well. Pat Surtain is the man at cornerback, but they don't have a ton of weapons on offense. They're going to continue to struggle. They're a 6 or 7 win team, in my opinion. The next team that is going in this trash can level is the Washington Commanders. They were in between almost dead and trash, but their defense is so bad. They're going to have to win every game like they won on Monday night. They're going to have to score 30 or 40 points to win. The defense is going to give up points consistently. Once they get that defense in line, this Commanders team is going to be tough to deal with. All right, let's scan these teams. Do we got any more trash can teams? Do we got any more? Ooh, the Cowboys are trash. But you know what? I'm going with the Bears. The Bears haven't done anything well all season long. They can't run the ball. They haven't passed the ball effectively. Poor coaching, right? The defense is, slightly above mediocre, but that's about it. I just don't think they're well coached. I think Caleb Williams is a bit of a diva, and he doesn't want to play the NFL game. He doesn't want to throw in structure. The offensive coordinator and the coach had him throwing the ball 50 times. What are you doing? You can't have Caleb Williams. He threw 2 more picks. You can't have him. They're lucky he didn't throw 4 interceptions. You can't have Caleb Williams throw the ball 50 times. Give me a break. Almost dead. We got the Arizona Cardinals. The defense is still not very good. The offense is coming along, but there's some injuries to the offensive line, so they're going to be up and down. Some weeks they're going to look good. Some weeks, like last week, they're not going to be able to get the engine going with the offense. The Lions' defense isn't particularly great, but Aiden Hutchinson is a problem, and he wreaked havoc again in that game against the Cardinals. Almost dead again, the Chargers. And I'm only saying this because there's a lot of injuries on this team. I don't think their roster is very good to begin with, in my opinion. So they're kind of in that almost dead, need to get healthy tier, right? And I'm going to start spreading out some need to get healthies, right? The 49ers definitely need to get healthy 100%. The Baltimore Ravens are 100% almost dead. They almost blew that game against the Dallas Cowboys. This defense is not very good. The interior offensive line continues to be an issue for me. And Lamar Jackson is going to get hurt if he keeps rushing the ball 15 times a game. They need to figure out a way to move this offense without relying on Lamar Jackson to carry the ball 15 times per game. Another team that's almost dead, the Dallas Cowboys, right? They can't stop the run. They don't have a lot of depth at wide receiver. They have no depth at all at the running back position. They can't run the ball. So Dak Prescott is facing a lot of light boxes, a lot of guys dropping back in the coverage, and he can't figure it out because he doesn't have the weapons to get open. He's got one good wide receiver, and that's about it, right? Another team that needs to get healthy is the Miami Dolphins, right? They would be in this, in the hunt tier if Tua didn't get hurt, but injuries are really stacking up on the Miami Dolphins, right? What other team is almost dead? No, I'm actually going to go with the Rams for need to get healthy, right? The Rams, there's so many injuries. I can't even name them all. The whole offensive line pretty much, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and they still got to win over the 49ers. Absolutely incredible performance, in my opinion. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then another team that's kind of in this kind of almost dead, need to get healthy type of team is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? The Buccaneers have a slew of injuries on the defensive side of the ball, and we saw them really creep up. They got away with it 2 weeks ago against the Lions, but it caught up with them big time against the Broncos. They need to get healthy on the defensive side of the ball, and very, very soon. Another team that I think is almost dead, I just don't believe in them very much, is the Atlanta Falcons, guys. They are just not very good. Kirk Cousins is very stoic in the pocket, right? He can't move around. There was like 5 or 6 times where all he had to do was run 3 or 4 yards to get a first down, and he just refuses to do it. He's scared to get hurt, right? Now, in the hunt are all these slew of teams. But first, I want to give you my Super Bowl predictions. If the season ended today, who I think would go to the Super Bowl, Buffalo Bills are playing the best football in the NFL. And close behind them is the Minnesota Vikings, man. Now that would be a fun Super Bowl, wouldn't it, guys? Vikings, Justin Jefferson, Josh Allen. Woo, baby, sign me up for that. Sign me up for that. Now, all these teams that are left are in the hunt. So I'm going to give you my power rankings from the worst of this bunch to the best of this bunch. The worst being the New Orleans Saints in the hunt mix. I do think the 49ers and Rams and Buccaneers could be in this hunt picture if they get healthy and they stay healthy, right? All right. The Saints look great the first 2 weeks, but they kind of got figured out in week 3. Derek Carr kind of came back to earth, right? The next team on this list is the Green Bay Packers. They still have a little bit to prove for me. Jordan Love needs to get healthy. He could even be in that need to get healthy category, but they're still playing well without him, right? Their defense is a little suspect to the run. That's how you beat the Green Bay Packers. But once Jordan Love comes back with Jacobs and the slew of young wide receivers, they're going to be just fine. Next up on this tier list is the Philadelphia Eagles, right? The Eagles, in my opinion, they need to get healthy too. They could be in this need to get healthy category, but they keep winning despite the injuries. But they've creeped up this week. We'll have to see how it plays out in week 4. They could go to this need to get healthy tier. But they got a big win on the road against the Saints. The Eagles could very well be 3-0, but they are 2-1. Big win against the Packers. They lost in week 2, and then they had a big win against the Saints in week 3. All right, now, the next team on this list is the Detroit Lions. They haven't really played well so far. They haven't put it all together yet. That's the only reason they're this low on the list for me. The next up is the Seattle Seahawks. I know people are going to be like, what? The Seahawks? But they've been playing great football. Mike McDonald's got this defense zooming all over the place. If they can get this offensive line to block, watch out for Seattle. They could win the NFC West easily, especially with all those injuries to the 49ers and the Rams. Next up for this in the hunt category is the Texans. People are like, what? They got blown out by the Vikings. Well, the Vikings are in the Super Bowl tier. The Texans played bad last week. A lot of penalties, a lot of stupid self-inflicted wounds. They'll clean that up. The Texans are going to be just fine. Trust me. They're going to be just fine. Next up is the Jets. I need to see a little bit more from that offense, and the same thing goes for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're in the same boat. 2 really good defenses, but kind of mediocre offenses. I like the Steelers' defense a little bit more than the Jets right now, but that could easily flip as we go later on in the season. The Jets and the Steelers, they're pretty much head-to-head. If I could put them equal, I would. And the next is the Kansas City Chiefs. That is right in the hunt for the Super Bowl picture. I think all these teams are in the hunt. Maybe not the Packers and the Saints, but I think all these other teams are Super Bowl contenders. And if some of these teams like the 49ers and Rams and Buccaneers get healthy, they are in the playoff hunt for sure. All right, everyone, there are my Week 4 power rankings, number 1 and 2. are the Buffalo Bills, number 1, the Vikings, number 2, the Chiefs are coming in at number 3, number 4 is the Pittsburgh Steelers, and number 5 is the New York Jets. 6 and 7, Texans, Seahawks. 8 and 9 are the Lions and the Eagles. 10 and 11 are the Packers and the Saints. But these need to get healthy teams could jump up in the hunt very soon as these teams start to get healthy, or they stay hurt and they can move down to the almost dead category, right? And maybe some of these teams rise from the ashes, go on a big winning streak, and get hot in the second half of the year. We'll have to see how that happens. If you like these kind of tier videos, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll catch you on the next video. Peace.